Let go the day, feel it melt away, where time cannot find me at all. Just a breath away, nothing here but heaven, nowhere but love to fall. As I go within, quiet peace, offer something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace, that reminds me I am always home. As I go within, quiet peace, offer something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace, that reminds me I'm always home. It's here that I am always home.
Staying right within that flow, giving yourself the opportunity to just fully be present, to fully acknowledge the day that has gone by, and allow yourself to be available to the evening that is unfolding. And so as I recognize and know, feeling in my heart and bones, that there is just God, and that as I pay more attention to my heart region, I just simply know God is already there, already has existed, and is already with me. And so I know this from the marrow of my heart, the marrow of my bones, that God is all things, and that there is only God, one mind, one source, one infinite intelligence. And I know that God is the characteristics of love, abundance, peace, and wellness. God is this and so much more. It is difficult to express. And yet knowing this, knowing and feeling this allness, this oneness in this very room, that I am immersed in the knowing that God is in my heart, in my being, closer than hands and feet. And I unify myself in that beautiful idea of oneness, the notion as a community that we are one, that there is no separation, no division, that nothing takes us away from the idea of the one. And therefore, as this evening unfolds in its perfection, I recognize all of the energy, all of the thoughts and the wishes and the writing that took place to bring this to fruition. And for this, I am grateful. For this, Father, Mother, God, I am thankful, knowing that this evening is unfolding in its perfection. And so, having this awareness, settling into this beautiful evening, and just let it flow. I know for sure that it is good, and all is well. And so I simply know this for certain, and know this for good, and so it is. Well, greetings. Welcome. Stop looking outside for help. Just stop. Your source is fueled and funded by a renewable resource. It is right within you. It never runs out. This is a quote from Dr. Reverend Michael Beckwith. And he continues to write in this book he wrote entitled Spiritual Liberation. He says this liberation of a spiritual nature results from discovering and expressing the intrinsic qualities of enlightened consciousness. This has been ours since the moment we came into existence. Simply put, all that is required to live up to your highest potential is already inside of us, awaiting our conscious activation. Growing into a spiritual adulthood has to do, he says, with understanding that we are here to attune ourselves to the evolutionary impulse that governs the universe, which an infinite conscious and consciousness. And it seeks all the time to articulate itself by means of us. We live in a universe where nothing remains static. All that exists has an observable impulsion to become more fully itself. An acorn seed, when planted in good soil and provided proper nutrients, ultimately evolves into its fullest potential, the mighty oak. Likewise, in order to fully evolve, the Spirit sees at the core of our being that it must be cultivated. We too must till the soil of our consciousness with spiritual tools and inner nutrients that enable us to fully deliver our gifts, our talents, and our skills. Through this inner work, our consciousness becomes a fertile condition, for our consciousness is a natural selection process, usually we believe driven by eternal conditions, is rather an involution of spiritual principles. And finally, one of my other favorite writers and thinkers and prayers is Marianne Williamson. And she writes, when we embark on our own transformational journey, we begin to hear an inner whisper that calls us to share our insights with others. Over the time, the whisper becomes a loud roar. The call to share is undeniable because the path to healing the world begins with you. And as we heal our own perceptions, we elevate the people around us. And as we heal and we begin to feel a ripple effect, one person lighting up another and another and another. This is how we will light up the world. Hello, my name is Trudy Seifke. I am a practitioner right here at Seaside and so proud and happy to be here with you. Thank you. Just to remind you, we have these illuminatas at the front of the service area here, these candles. And this is a beautiful opportunity to think of yourself or perhaps someone else that needs more healing, more grounding, more light, sending them love. Feel free to use this time to do so.
Surrender, I surrender, and let the silence hold me. Surrender, I surrender, and open to is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you. Beautiful, always beautiful. It's centering. Thank you. Lovely to have Jim here and Aria, always. Welcome. My name is Reverend Debbie McDonnell, and it's my joy to be with you this evening. I need to start off by saying we have the wonderful ministerial students from the Holmes Institute with us tonight. Some of them, yes. They're here for spring camp, which is a week-long, 10 days of classes with Dr. Christian and other teachers. And so they're here getting their classes done, and we have a few that are graduating here in just a few weeks. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. It's great to have you. So my talk title tonight is Who's Calling? And there's a scene in a sci-fi movie, a sci-fi fantasy movie called The Zero Theorem. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's kind of an interesting, weird sort of movie. But there's a character in there whose name is Cohen, and he's telling this story to his friend in the movie, Bainsley. Cohen speaks of himself always in plural. So Cohen says, "One night, a long time ago, we were awakened by the phone ringing. We picked it up. The voice on the other end said, 'Cohenlet?' Before we could respond, we felt this great power opening through the phone line. We felt this sudden rush of joy unlike anything we ever felt before. And then we knew quite clearly we only had to answer yes. And the voice would tell us the meaning of life. The voice would tell us our special calling. The voice would give us a reason for being." And Bainsley said, "And then?" Cohen replies, "And then, in our excitement, we dropped the receiver, disconnecting ourselves." And Bainsley says, "You've been waiting for a call back ever since?" And he replies with, "What other reason is there to pick up the phone?" I don't know about any of you, if any of you have been waiting for that call, but I know I have been waiting for that call. I have been waiting for that call my entire life, trying to figure out what is the reason for so many things. What is the reason for me being here? What is our purpose? What is this world all about? Why are we here? What's going on? I'm always wanting to know the answers to all of these questions. And I always felt to me like everybody else got it. Everybody else was so much clearer on what they wanted to do, what they wanted to be when they grew up, what major they wanted to major in college. That was my perception anyway. I've learned that that's not always the case, but I always felt like I was the only one who didn't know. I was forever seeking. I was forever asking questions. I asked questions about my questions. I was just thirsty to know. I was just wanted to know everything that I could. And somehow along the way, I came to believe that there was only one right path, and I had to get the right path. And it was some deal that I had made with my soul before I even incarnated into this life, but I had no memory whatsoever of what it was. And I thought that was a pretty bum deal that God had placed on us to give us this assignment, yet we had no memory of it. You know, what was that about? And what I came to find out that there wasn't just one path, but I really felt that there was something I was missing, something that I wasn't getting, something that I wasn't seeing along the way. I think I've read every self-help book there is on finding your life's purpose, follow your bliss and the money will follow, and all of those books. I was looking, I was seeking. What is my purpose? What is my place? Where do I belong? I had a really crazy sort of career path, if you call it that. I grew up painting and then sewing, and I was very much into sort of the creative home arts, if you will. And then when I went into school and I graduated, well, in high school I was in theater and drama, and that was sort of a thing that I loved to play, but I was really clear I couldn't make a living at that. And so then I decided I would go to school for design school. And I went to school right out of high school. I went into design school, and I wanted to become a fashion designer, but I was told I was too much of an extrovert, so I should go into merchandising, and having this great sense of self that I had, I said, sure, okay, I'll go into merchandising. So I went into merchandising and did that, and I did store windows for a while, and then when that didn't work anymore, I decided I would go back to school and pursue the theater. So I did that, and then I moved to LA and did a theater thing for about 10 years, and then we decided to have a baby, and we didn't want to live in LA, so we moved here, and I became a massage therapist. See, it's all very logical, right? And then I became a massage therapist and ended up coming here to Seaside, and then I became a practitioner. And before that, I went back to school and got my degree in fashion design, and then I became a practitioner, and then I entered the Holmes Institute and became a minister. So full circle to find this path of what was my calling. The interesting thing was when I was in the second grade, and I think I've told this story to you before, but I was in the second grade. I went to it was a mixed elementary school, parochial school, and I think I was 6 years old because I was one of the young ones in class, and the nuns separated the boys from the girls, and they came in and they talked to the girls. And the nun said, I want you to pay attention, girls. Now I'm 6, remember, to see or to feel if you might have a calling to become a nun. And right away, my little head was, no. I'm not listening, I'm not picking up, I'm not hearing the call, right? Because first of all, in my little 6-year-old mind, to become a nun, you had to wear the whole habit thing, which they wore back then, and that certainly wasn't the fashion statement that I was looking for. You had to marry God. They wore a ring that they married God. It wasn't the man I was looking for, I really wanted somebody more with like flesh. And you had to take a vow of poverty. That one I didn't think was so great. You had to live in a convent with all women. No, I didn't really want to do that. And you had to take a vow of chastity, but I don't even think I knew what that was, But all I knew was that I didn't want to get the call from God to be a nun. I just didn't. So I spent a lot of time looking and seeking and looking and seeking, coming full circle to here where I am in ministry. As that little 6-year-old girl, I didn't have an example of what it would look like to be a woman and be in ministry because they weren't offering that in the Catholic Church. So this whole idea of who's calling, what is that inner urge, what is that thing that's coming forward in you? All of my life I had that urge to do more, to be more. I never felt satisfied, and I would see other people again, and they seemed like they were satisfied. They seemed like they accepted what they were doing in life, whatever it was. Going, doing their job, going home, having their families, and they seemed to be cool with it. But I just always felt like I had to do more, I had to do more. And what I've come to believe, what I've come to know about that for myself is what I had was a spiritual hunger. I had that hunger to know the divine, to return to that place of knowing whatever it was that I signed up before I got here, For knowing spirit. And that was the unsettled bit in me, that bit that was forever seeking, that bit that was forever looking. Ernest Holm talks about it this way. He says that all instinctively feel this. We do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells us of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. And I craved that freedom, yet I didn't even know what it was. To listen to that inner voice, I believe, is the key. It's the key to what it is that we're seeking. That still small voice, can we hear it? Are we listening? Are we paying attention? Are we slowing down enough to hear it? No matter what our vocation is, no matter what our occupation is, I believe our job is to express the divine, to be that which we came here to be, the love and the light, to express that, to shine that wherever we are. We're all called, I believe, to wake up to the sacred wholeness that we are. For those of you that have more than one voice in your head, me, how do we know which voice is the God voice? How do we know which is the voice that is that inner guidance, which is that inner calling? In my meditation this week, I was contemplating this idea. I was contemplating the idea of how can I develop a better relationship with Source? And what came to me in meditation was that, well, if you want to build a better relationship with somebody, what you do is you spend more time with them, right? You get to know them better. And so I had the awareness of what I need to do is I need to spend more time with the divine. I need to spend more time in conscious communion. I need to spend more time in meditation. If the idea that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God, you guys have heard that, I'm sure, the very simple form of what prayer and meditation is. Then I need to spend more time in meditation. Again, just like a friend. If I'm with a friend and I'm doing all the talking, have you ever been with a friend like that and you're out to lunch or dinner with them and you can't get a word in edgewise, they're just talking all about themselves, and they never get to know anything about you because they never stop to ask a question. So I need to listen. I need to slow down. I need to be quiet, and I need to listen so I can hear whatever that divine guidance is that's coming forward. I need to be quiet long enough to hear. Ernest says in the Science of Mind textbook, he says that when we practice listening like this, we are learning spiritual discernment. Through spiritual discernment, we see that we have within us a power which is greater than anything we shall ever contact. A power that has overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. With this knowledge, we can step out in faith, we can step out confidently and take action. My daughter told me a story of Lady Gaga. She told me a story about Lady Gaga, an interview that Lady Gaga had not too long ago. And the interviewer was asking her, how did she get this creativity? Where did she get her inspiration from? And she said, that the creativity, the thought just downloads. It just comes through her. It just comes through her. And what she said that you need to do, she said, is when God calls, you need to pick up the phone. Are we picking up the phone? Are we taking that time to listen? Because I believe that we all hear it. We all have that still small voice. And those of us, I think, that practice, it gets louder and louder. And we're able to distinguish it between all those other, I hope you guys have other voices besides me. We can hear it. We can hear it. Ernest says, and he says this towards the back of the Science of Mind text, and this is one of my favorite Ernest quotes because it's really clear. The highest mental practice is to listen to this inner voice and declare its presence. The greater a man's consciousness of this indwelling I am, the more fully he will live. So the highest mental practice is to listen to this inner voice and declare its presence. I encourage you all to get a direct line to the divine. Nurture it, fan it, develop it, expand it, allow it to grow in your lives. Do you believe you'll find that place of peace, that place of serenity, that place of I hope it doesn't take you all the time it took me traveling all these different paths to try to figure out where I fit. When I was here all along, I was like the fish that we hear about swimming in the water, looking. What is it? What is it? What am I looking for? What is it? What is it? And it's the water. It's all around me all the time, yet I'm missing it. So it's so wonderful to be here and to just be able to breathe and to just be in this place where I know I belong, where I can hear that still small voice. I want to end with reading this poem from Oriah Mountain Dreamer. She wrote The Invitation, and this is her book, The Call, Discovering Why You Are Here. The call. I have heard it all my life, a voice calling a name I recognized as my own. Sometimes it comes as a soft-bellied whisper. Sometimes it holds an edge of urgency. But always it says, wake up, my love. You are walking asleep. There's no safety in that. Remember what you are and let this knowing take you home to the beloved with every breath. Hold tenderly who you are and let a deeper knowing color the shape of your humanness. There is nowhere to go. What you are looking for is right here. Open the fist clenched in wanting and see what you already hold in your hand. There is no waiting for something to happen, no point in the future to get to. All you have ever longed for is here in this moment, right now. You are wearing yourself out with all this searching. Come home and rest. How much longer can you live like this? Your hungry spirit is gaunt, your smile stumbles. All this trying, give it up. Let yourself be one of the God-mad, faithful only to the beauty you are. Let the lover pull you to your feet and hold you close, dancing even when fear urges you to sit this one out. Remember, there is one word you are here to say with your whole being. When it finds you, give your life to it. Don't be tight-lipped and stingy. Spend yourself completely on the same. Be one word in this great love poem we are writing together. I invite you to wake up, to answer the call, and to be that divine self that you are. God bless you. And I'm going to ask Ari to come back on and give us a song.
I think I missed my calling. I was meant to be a Disney princess. Forgot my tiara. All those days watching from the windows, all those years outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now I'm here blinking in the starlight. Now I'm here and suddenly I see, standing here, it's so, so clear, I'm where I'm meant to be. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world is somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I see you. All at once, chasing down a daydream. All those days, chasing down a daydream. All those years, living in a blur. All the time, never even seeing things the way they were. But now I see you shining as the starlight. Now I feel you warming all that's cold. Now it's clear you're everywhere, and love is all you know. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new, and it's warm and real and bright, and the world is somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I see you. Now that I see you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Aria. Well, it is the time of our service for our offering. I believe we have ushers. They will come forward. Michael, thank you. Yeah. Hi. Cindy, great. So this is the time that you're able to offer your gifts. It is a time to give and receive. It is a time to practice the law of reciprocity. It is that as we give to the world, it comes back to us. It's not why we give, but it certainly oils the pump. It gets things moving. As we put it out there, it comes back to us tenfold. So will you share with me earnest prosperity prayer? As I give thanks for the good now flowing into my life, I gladly share that good with others. The more I give, the more I receive. I experience a deeper consciousness of peace and security, for I know that I am in the embrace of a warm, loving presence, forever seeking an outlet through me. My cup runneth over. I exist in limitless possibilities. Thank you. Thank you. I have just a few announcements this evening. I want to let you know that next Wednesday evening, Reverend Lori Mack will be here, but she has a special guest who will be speaking, Dr. Ken Gordon. Dr. Ken Gordon is a spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living, and he's going to be here in town, and so I invite you to come out and hear him. He is a dynamic speaker. I'm always very motivated when I hear him. His topic will be making a new commitment to the world. So come and be part of that next Wednesday night. And classes are still ongoing. We have spring classes. Reverend Lori Sheets is starting a class next Thursday evening. You can check that out. It's a 4-week class. You can sign up in the family room. And we have a couple Sunday workshops coming up before the end of the quarter. And then before you know it, our summer program will be out just around the corner. I want to thank everybody who helped Wednesday night service come together this evening, the Going Within service. Tim, thank you for holding the light for us. Gregory, thank you for podcast. Melanie on sound. Trudy, thank you. Your first night here with me as practitioner is beautiful. Thank you. Aria and Jim, always fabulous. I feel so blessed to have you. And Karen is filled in for Jenny tonight. Karen, I don't see you, but she makes the whole thing go around. So thank you, thank you, thank you. At this time, I'd like to pray. So if there's anything on your heart, anything on your mind, anybody that you would like to hold in prayer, please just bring them to your conscious right now, and we'll hold them in prayer as we move forward here this evening. So just coming together in this one moment, knowing there is only that one power and that one presence, and it is God, and it is good, and it is love. And I know that that's all that there is, that there's nothing, absolutely nothing but the divine, that spirit is all that we see, spirit is all that we don't see. There is nothing, absolutely nothing but spirit. Everything is made of that God stuff. And I know that I am one with this source, and just as I know it's true for me, I know it's true for each and every individual here. I know that each one is a perfect expression of spirit, that each one here is perfect exactly as they are, that there is nothing to heal, nothing to fix, nothing to do, but just to reveal that divine essence that is forever present. I'm knowing that each one here is blessed, each one here is prospered, each one here is in that place of love and light. And I'm knowing for each and every individual that's put a prayer into our prayer request chest, that a healing has already taken place, that there is nothing to do but just to surrender into that divine flow, to surrender into that divine love, knowing that spirit is moving in through and as each individual, each situation, each activity. And I know for Seaside Center for Spiritual Living that it's a place of love, it's a place of light, it's a place of expansion. And I'm knowing for each and every ministerial student here that they are called to ministry by that divine appointment, that each one is here as the very hands of God, the very voice of God, the very feet of God on this planet. I am so grateful for each one. I am so grateful for each person here in this sanctuary tonight and the role that they play in this ever-evolving world plan. It's with that sense of absolute gratitude that I just release these words into the divine action of the law, knowing that in the mind of God it's already complete, it's already done, and so it is. Stand and join me in the closing prayer. We don't have Nicolette. You have to come with me.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision, and no one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And once I decide to change show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
Bless you. Join us for refreshments.